Brandon, how are you?
Pretty good, Miles. How about yourself?
Doing well, man. I have a question for you. Are you into art at all?
I am. I'm a huge art fan. Huge.
Then maybe you can help me out. Have you ever heard of Guernica by Pablo Picasso?
I have. His 1937 painting depicting this destruction and chaos that existed in Guernica, Spain after one of the battles in the Spanish Civil War. Yeah, I love that painting. It's one of my all-time favorites.
Wow, you really know your history.
Oh, a little bit.
Well, I was like kind of looking at it from like the content perspective for the picture and for the painting, and honestly, it's amazing, and there's so much that I can grasp, but I think I need a little bit more of the historical background. Do you think you can help me more than the fact that it was from 37 and
Sure.
the agony of the war and everything going on?
Sure. Well, overall, we're talking about this painting. It's huge. I believe it's something like 11 by 20 some odd feet. Huge painting. And in this painting, there are many different things. There are people in there. There is a woman, a baby, soldiers, and weird heads, this cubism type stuff that Picasso is so famous for. There are also animals in there. There's a bull, a horse, a dove. So very many different sorts of things are represented in this, and it's all disjointed, and it looks as if a bomb had just went off in this painting. It's pretty crazy.
So do you think that he made it disjointed and showing like the agony, like for example, you see a lady holding a baby in her hands screaming on agony. Do you think it's because most likely the bomb was just dropped and all the agonizing terror that all these people were going through at the time?
I do, and one of the cool things about Picasso is he goes out of his way to tell his audience that he has no real agenda with his paintings, and it's for each of us to look at this sort of stuff and interpret it in our own way. And I think that's very unique. For example, he's talking about the bulls and the horses and things like that. Are there any symbolic nature to any of this stuff? And he says no. This is just stuff that came to him, and he decided to put in this painting. And it's for us to just kind of look at and decide. And a bull is just a bull, and a horse is just a horse, and the painting paints itself, essentially.
That's awesome. I do think that he had a couple of things though that he had, like maybe, I don't want to say hidden meanings, but the light bulb, I think that might be symbolic to like technology, because the bombs are being dropped because I believe it had something to do with like a German test kind of run or something for their new weaponry. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I remember hearing about that. So maybe the light bulb was like the evil symbolic way of showing what technology can do. And then next to it, you have a lady holding a lamp. Maybe that's like a sign of hope or something. Like, even though that there's technology, we can still fight the evils of technology with what we're used to, which is just maybe like a lamp,
Yeah, definitely. Well, very cool. What else do we want to talk about with this painting? It's pretty one of Picasso's more famous works. What else can you tell me about that you know?
Well, to tell you the truth, before getting into the painting and learning about it, there wasn't really much that I knew. Like, to tell you the truth, you're the plethora of knowledge that I've gotten from it. Thank you very much for the history. The only other thing that I would get from it, or that I could probably say, is I do think that he really, really, really wanted people to understand the atrocities that the people were going through.
Sure.
I think that's why it's like the word that you used earlier. It was kind of like dismembered and disjointed, and none of it was put together, because that's probably what the scene was that day. You know what I mean? Actually, I believe it burned for like 3 days straight. Guernica, New York City, for 3 days straight. So I think that he wanted to show the agony, pain, and suffering, but I think he wanted it not to be in a fluid, just, look at this picture, it all makes sense. He wanted you to take it and look, have your own interpretation, like you said. But truly, truly awesome. A very famous band called Brand New.
I love Brand New.
You like Brand New?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. They have a song called Guernica, and I never knew what it was called. And or why it was called, excuse me, I don't know why it was called Guernica, and it's about his grandfather dying of cancer and the pain that he had to go through going through that. So I guess the lead singer of Brand New was a big Picasso fan. I had no idea.
Yeah, it kind of mirrors the pain and suffering that perhaps he or his grandfather went through with his death, much like what's depicted in the painting. That's kind of cool how art it influences other art in some ways. So very neat. But yeah, it's awesome. I like Brand New. And now we have another thing in common. We also like this painting. Crazy small world, right? Well,
I can't say I'm a big Packers fan.
Oh, come on.
Love my Chiefs, as bad as we are.
Hey, good talk, man. I'm gonna pound it out.
Dude, knowledge is power.